The Call of Duty MW2 campaign continues Modern Warfare 2019, but without knowing the events of the last part, you can immediately understand what's what. It is also interesting to note the fact that for the first time in the history of the series, the story campaign comes out a week ahead of the online modes. Gift for fans? Maybe. But not everything is so clear. The single-player campaign is available to anyone who pre-ordered the digital version of Modern Warfare 2, while all other content will be available on October 28th, and Warzone 2 even later. And one could say many words of gratitude to the publisher, if half of the missions were not preparing players for new multiplayer modes. The main motif has a lot in common with the original 2009 game. The new part is not a remake or remaster, it is rather a restart of the series. Yes, we will see familiar characters and a lot of references to past parts, but there are plenty of new mechanics and situations here. Well, a new, more relevant story, of course. The only question is the quality and relevance of all this. Did you manage to repeat the success? The plot again tells about the legendary Tactical Group 141, an anti-terrorist unit, which includes the famous Soap McTavish, Captain Price, Ghost, Gus, and the new Mexican operative, Alejandro Vargas. The developers finally managed to create a single whole out of individual bright personalities, because there are no extra characters in the plot at all, and each event directly affects the attitude towards each other. You have to visit many places in different parts of the world before uncovering a terrorist plot. It all begins with the elimination of the leader of the Alcatala group, whose successor teams up with a Mexican drug cartel to avenge the leader and launch missiles towards the United States. Fortunately, the writers decided not to delve into the gray morals, making the game more dynamic and rich than the last. Yes, and that very cranberry has become many times smaller, although they did not refuse the full presence of the Russian side, and it makes itself felt throughout the entire plot. As the conspiracy unfolds, the American military company Shadow Company will join you, the history and development of which will also be played here, as well as its leader. We can say that the plot has become more chamber and local, which allows you to comfortably follow what is happening, without any sudden illogical events and outside interference. Infinity Ward manages to bring back the spirit of the old parts, where each hero is charismatic and interesting for all 8 to 10 hours of passage. Even the new operatives and villains turned out to be quite characteristic and memorable. Only now the gameplay is not as bright and dynamic as we would like. Over the course of 17 missions, you will be thrown into various parts of the planet, but we have already seen most of the situations before, and the new ones turned out to be completely strange and inappropriate. For example, the game has a sniper stealth mission with Price, a nighttime ship takeover, control of an AC-130 attack helicopter, and others. Yes, this can be called a reference to the old parts, which it is, but I would also like something radically new. For example, the nightly house clears that players have loved so much since MW 2019, are back, but in the amount of a couple of pieces for 30 minutes of pure time. This format was so fresh and memorable that after the news about the cartels in the story, most players hoped for the development of this direction, but, alas. On the other hand, we have 2 long missions with crooked stealth and crafting items from improvised trash, a drawn-out crooked car chase, and stealth missions where there is no crafting. All of this content was playable without the mechanics that are unnecessary here, but this is done for your education and preparation for new online modes. Car rides with the ability to climb onto the roof on the go will be in Warzone 2, crafting items from improvised materials will be implemented in DMZ mode, and terrible armored opponents, of which there are just a lot in the game, will help with understanding the time to kill players in the Royal Battle. The game has had armored opponents before, but they acted as mini bosses. Now every fourth will have to break through the armor, which is why all the fun and beauty of the passage is lost. On high difficulty, you generally have to poke around corners in order to somehow escape, but for someone this can be a plus of the game. In crafting missions, you are deprived of weapons, and you have to roam the locations extremely slowly and make some kind of traps and sharpeners that break quickly. At such moments, both the pace and the tension of the game break down, where you wanted to see a large-scale modern conflict, and not crawl in single file on the cards. Yes, there are 3 wow moments in the game that really cheer you up and the desire to continue, but often something so boring happens after that you want to quit the game twice in 8 hours of playthrough. We will deliberately not reveal the main twist of the game, but know that it is here, although it raises questions. The final mission leaves behind ambiguous feelings, and bewilderment that it all ended that way. But the graphics, sound, and animations here are at the highest level. The developers continue to focus on the realism of local weapons, and each instance looks very textured and detailed. There are definitely no questions about this aspect. The game runs great on the PlayStation 5, without any bugs and frame drops. The sound in the game is also at the highest level, only I didn't hear any memorable songs at all, and some gunfights take place in complete silence, only with the sounds of battle, which is unusual, but I personally liked it. Call of Duty: Modern Warfare 2, 2022, was not some kind of breakthrough or revelation. It's a good sequel where every aspect is taken up a notch and the plot develops the story and characters. It is pleasant to play and follow what is happening, but the game does not give any new emotions, unlike the recent Call of Duty: Cold War. Infinity Ward decided not to make any drastic changes, and simply improves its realistic style with charismatic heroes. It's hard to call this story campaign bad, but it obviously won't get into the list of the best either. The game will definitely appeal to those who miss Ghost, Price, and McTavish. This is a great gift for all fans. But the boring and inappropriate missions made to teach online modes really spoiled the experience.